ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ Guru Pyari Saad Sangat Ji. Sometimes we often ask ourselves that how can I keep my mind focused in the right way? A lot of times people ask that things affect my mind a lot. Sometimes when I'm trying to read Barney, my mind wanders off in its own space and starts daydreaming. Or when I'm trying to listen to Kirtan, I start thinking about something else. Sometimes even vikars come into my mind, vices come into my mind. But how can I stop these vices from affecting my mind? Sometimes such a thing comes across in my mind that it completely takes my mind from the Gurmat thinking or the Satogun thinking that I was in about thinking about somebody, something good about somebody, or Dharmic thinking about Akal Purkh. But how can I get my mind that was in that surti or in that way of thinking to stay in that surti instead of getting affected by vices, by lust, by anger, by all of these things which take it way off? So Guru Pyari Saad Sangat Ji, when something comes out in life, we take in this information through 5 ways. These we all know as the 5 senses. Shabad, Spars, Roop, Ras and Gandh. These are our 5 senses, Guru Pyareo. With these 5 senses, we take in information through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose, through our hands, and through our tongue. But with all of these things, how do these things have to do with our mind, which take this information from the outside world and affect our internal mind, which is trying to connect to Akal Purkh, but sometimes our mind is led astray and back into the world and back into the things of the world. So Bhagat Farid Ji says something beautiful. First they say that remember that this world is all going to die. Everything will go to its graveyard, everything will turn into dust. And Sache Pacha in Bani, they take Bhagat Farid Ji's Bani. And what Bhagat Farid Ji says, they say, Aaj Milawa Sheikh Farid, Takam Kunjadiyan, Mano Machindadiyan. So in that way, Bhagat Farid Ji is saying, today I can meet Akal Purkh. Today I can take my surti and connect it to Akal Purkh and become one with Akal Purkh. But how can I do that? Outside world is such a thing which basically pulls my mind back into the world. And it's like a bird. A bird is something comes from the outside. The bird just flies away in all different directions. Kabir man pankhi payo. Just like a bird is there and it flies. It flies in all 10 directions, left, right, and it doesn't stay in control, just like my mind. Sometimes it's in one spot and it goes all the way to India. Sometimes I could be sitting there and I hear something or I remember something that's happening in the US and my mind goes all the way to the US. Sometimes my mind starts thinking about what's going on with the latest project of Mars and my mind goes all the way to Mars, meaning that it's flying around in all different directions. But how can I keep it in? Guru Pyari Saad Sangat Ji, there's an example. To help explain what we're speaking about, I want you to imagine that you are walking from one village to a nearby village. There is one straight road from where you are standing to the village that you are about to go to. There's one straight road, but you have to travel on this road, and in your mind you have to have it that I'm not going to think about a horse. No matter what happens, I'm not going to let my mind get drifted from this path and start thinking about horses. But what you see is when you start traveling on this path is that there's horses everywhere. There's horse shops, people are riding horses, there's horse sounds everywhere, horses are neighing, there's horse hoof sounds everywhere, there's horse prints everywhere, and you realize that you're on top of a horse as well. And the village that you're going towards, all along this entire path is just horses and horses and horses. And you're thinking in your mind that from here to the next village, I'm going to be traveling this distance, but there's not going to be any even sound, memory, anything of a horse that's going to come in my mind. Guru Pyareo, this will be very, very unlikely and next to impossible. As soon as you hear the sound of a horse, the first thing that comes into your mind before you consciously think about it will be a horse. You realize that you're on top of a horse. The horse comes into your mind. Guru Pyareo, how is it possible to go from one village to the next village that's full of horses along the path and not even think about a horse? This is what Bhagat Farid ji is saying. They say, Aaj Malava Sheikh Farid, Takam Kunjadiyan, Mano Machindadiyan. How are we knowing that there's horses along this way? It's because of our 5 senses. Either we see the horse, we feel the horse, we smell the horse, we hear about the horse. All of these things, they're reminding our mind that these are sounds of a horse, which bring this memory back in front of our mind that this is what a horse is. Remember, look, this is the image of a horse. This is what it's about. This is what it eats. This is what they look like. There's this many different types of horses, and your mind gets indulged in that. But the whole point was to not think of a horse. But how can you stop that? Let go of these 5 senses and bring that all internal. How? Just like a tortoise. A tortoise lives in a shell, Guru Pyareo. A tortoise is living in a shell. When there's any sign of harm on the outside, when it feels any danger, senses anything that could harm it or potentially kill it, it takes all of its hands, feet, tail and head and brings it into its shell. Meaning, let go of the outside, stop thinking about what your senses are teaching your mind, let go of all of that and come internal. Grab the Guru Shabad, which is going to bring you internal. Don't worry about what you see, hear, anything. Bring internal and connect your surti, connect your inside mind to something that has nothing to do with the outside. Everything is sitting inside of yourself. Tat Niranjan Jot Sabai Sohang Pedana Koi Jio, meaning that the true essence is this, that between me and Akal Purkh, there's no difference. Why am I indulging in this outside world? Bring your senses inside so you don't fly around and back into this world like that bird. If you're traveling on this path from one village to the next village, how can you avoid thinking of a horse? There's one way, Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji. That is, if your surti is not focusing on these 5 senses, it's focusing on something internal that's even shut off these 5 senses to giving this information to your mind. How? I want you to imagine a little child is sitting on that horse with you, and he's traveling from this one village to the next village. And this child, he's playing on his cell phone, for example, and he's playing these video games. You can tell the kid to go eat, you can tell the kid to stop playing, you can yell at the kid, no matter what's going on. That child will not stop playing on his phone. He'll keep on looking at his phone. You can move the kid, you can shake the kid, the mom will be yelling, no matter what's going on. The child's surti, the child's focus, the concentration is all on that video game. Meaning that he shut off everything from the outside because he's focused on one thing. Ek man ek chit tyai. You're focusing on one thing, so no matter, even if horses are neighing, no matter what's going on this path, next thing you know, you don't even realize that, oh, I've already reached the village. And there's no horse that came into my mind. But if your surti is not connected to something, meaning connect to the Shabad, bring your attention or your consciousness that's focusing on these outside world or these outside senses, bring it internal. Dasma Gupta Rakhaya. That's why these 9 doors are reaching out to the world, but that 10th one that's hidden, that is the one that you have to connect through. That's the door to connecting to Akal Purkh. But it's not something that can be physically seen on the outside because it's Gupta Rakhaya. It's Gupta, it's hidden. But how does that child completely let go of all that and bring it in? Is when you focus your surti all on one, let go of the outside and bring it. When you take the Guru Shabad and you let go of what's going on the outside, you bring it towards the Akal Purkh, you won't even realize if there's pain. You won't even realize if there's pleasure. You won't even realize if somebody is praising you, slandering you. Jo nar dukh mein dukh nahi manne, sukh sne arpay nahi jaake, kanchan mati manne. Meaning that if you look at gold, you look at dirt, they're all the same to you. You've completely become detached from this world, and just in the same way, you can make your mind not be focusing on that outside world. Just like a bird is flying around, bring it all together and focus your surti on that Shabad. Ek man ek chit tyai. That can only be done with true love and true focus. Once your true love and true focus is found, just like that child is playing those video games, Kabir Sant na shaddai santai je kotak mila asant. No matter what types of hurricanes or what type of evil-minded, wicked type of people come, your mind won't go through. But if your surti is not connected to something, then Guru Pyareo, even if there's no horses along that path, I also want you to think of this. Even if there's no horses along that path, even if you're walking by foot and you're not on a horse, there's no horse sounds, and you travel from one side of that village to the next village. No horses come in the way, no horse sounds. But in your mind is still wandering off left, right, here and there. Who knows that from somewhere, even though the horse is not actually in front of you, the horse will still come into your mind. Meaning that even though kaam, lust, anger, moh, greed, all of these things, vikars, that distract your mind, even though they might not be in front of you, but because you're not actually focusing your surti on anything, you're not utilizing your mind might actually end up thinking of a horse even though there's no horse along the way. Meaning your mind got distracted by something that's not even there. But how can you make it so that even if there's horses everywhere, your mind still won't get distracted? That's if you're connecting your surti towards something. Guru Pyari Saad Sangh Ji, keep this one thing in your mind. One great Gursikh told me this when I was younger, and it completely changed my life. That Gursikh told me, the Harman Singh, a vela man, a mind that's doing nothing, a mind that has no job. A vela man is a vakari man, a mind that is not occupied. That mind is automatically, its nature is going to go towards vikars. Keep your mind occupied with something, either focusing on Gurbani Ityas, focusing on your homework, focus it on seva of your parents, focus it on something, do some good action, anything. Focus it on your nityanem, focus on whatever you want, but don't let your mind wander off. Keep it connected towards something, and if you keep it connected towards something, no matter what happens, nothing will be able to affect or harm you. Just like that tortoise realizes, senses that there's some sort of harm, it completely lets go of the world, and no matter what, if somebody is stomping on top of its shell, it doesn't hurt that turtle because it's gone inside. Let go of the world and connect to your true self on the inside, Guru Pyareo. This is how you can actually make your surti focus on. But what do, Guru Pyareo? We listen to outside things and we expect our mind to be still. Gurbani says, Mere Mohan Sravani ehna sunai, Sakat, Geet, Naad tun gavat, Bolat bol ajai. The first thing is, we're not going to let our mind be free. We're going to keep it occupied. But we don't want to occupy it with the wrong things. That's even worse. You don't want to listen to those types of songs. You don't want to listen to that type of melody even. Those types of words. Any of these sort of things that bring those vikars in your mind, because what we said before, the five senses are what are bringing these things in. You're hearing about it, you're seeing it no matter what you do, whether it's in the form of movies, whether it's in the form of pornography, whether it's in the form of Bollywood, Hollywood, whatever movies you watch, whether it's in the form of what your friends talk about at school, what's on your dramas on TV at home, whatever your mom is watching. All of these things affect your mind. Whether it's whatever you're scrolling on Instagram. I had this one Panji come up to Pyare. I'm just going to add this here in as well. Outside, there was no negative. Nothing outside negative that was teaching her this, that she wanted to take her mind towards a certain situation in her life where she wanted to impress people. She had no need to remove her facial hair. She had no need to try to find a way to prove herself, her beauty to people, because her family was supportive of Sikhi. Her sangat, she did Kirtan, she read beautiful Barni. All of her friends were all into Gurmat. But then for some reason she asked that, Virji, why in my mind am I having these doubts where my mind is going off of Sikhi? I'm questioning my Rath, and I feel in my mind that I need to remove my facial hair and I need to impress people of the world. Found out later on that the root cause was her Instagram account. Why? Because she ended up following these beauty accounts or these things which were unconsciously, whether it's just because all of the other girls were doing it, unconsciously it was drilling into her mind that this is what beauty looks like in the world, this is what impresses people, even though we might not psychologically or consciously think about it right at that moment. But sometimes these thoughts deeply ingrained inside of our mind, and they affected with situations and how we make decisions in the future, Pyareo. So don't let your mind hear these types of things, see these types of things, feel these types of things that bring you back out towards the world where there is harm to your surti that's connecting to the Shabad. So Pyareo, these were my bentiyan. Sometimes we have to look at the things in a way which sometimes our mind actually doesn't perceive it to be. Let's look into the depths of our mind, and the only thing that can actually remove our mind and help us look deeper is the Guru Shabd and the Guru's Gyan, which is Gurbani. So pyareo, Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.